Hi guys, it is Jack the Train Spotter. You're probably thinking, why the fuck are you in the middle of a field, in the middle of nowhere, after sunset? Well, I got here a bit later than I planned. I was hoping the sun was still gonna be up. Behind me, there is a reason. This is topical. I made effort to get here. I've been cycling for ages. Behind me, if you can see the very slight, that line in the horizon where dark blue becomes black, that is Pilot Hill. That's the highest point in Hampshire. I'm currently in Hampshire. It is topical, but I ain't going to film the rest of the video here because I've spent 20 minutes trying to do the lighting, in which case it's got real dark. If you care, this is the lighting. It is my bike light. But I did come marginally prepared. I do have my Wessex flag, which I had at the concert for when he sang Wessex Boy, and a sandwich. The topic was meant to be, I saw Frank Turner on Tuesday in the complete opposite side of Hampshire. I wanted to be topical, but I couldn't be asked to go all the way to Portsmouth again. I grew up there. I went there to see him because I grew up there. He grew up not far away. He grew up near Alton, which is only about half an hour from Portsmouth. And I knew we would make a big deal about the fact that he grew up not far away, which made it all the more special. It was at the Guildhall, just by Southsea train station, just down the road from where I went to school. Yeah, it was my first time seeing him, so I really liked that it was in Hampshire. He loves Hampshire. He knows it's the best county in the planet. God's own county. Yorkshire people, you are wrong. You are liars. I'm done with this bright light being shoved in my eyes. You will see the rest of this in my bedroom, where I can just turn the light on.
So I found out about Frank about 2 years ago. It was actually around this time, 2021. I don't know how I didn't find out about him sooner. I'm really gutted I haven't. But the past 2 years, I've just spent trying to get through all of his music. I remember when I first looked on his Spotify and I thought, damn, there's like 15 years worth of music to get through. There's like 8 albums, a bunch of other covers and compilations, and just so much. He must have released over like 150 songs. Yeah, but I managed to get through all of it before seeing him. And I always listen to him whenever I'm going back to Hampshire to like visit family or whatever. Because one thing that really annoyed me that I hadn't found out about him earlier is we grew up only like half an hour apart. I grew up just east of Portsmouth. He grew up a few miles northwest of Portsmouth. As I said, there's a reason why I saw him in Portsmouth. I did think it was a brilliant concert. Don't get me wrong, Frank, if you're watching this, but on leaving it, I did feel alive. I loved being there, hearing all those songs live. It's just, most concerts I've been to, I get usually the two emotions, especially after seeing Lord and George, especially George Ezra. It was just this deep fuzzy feeling. I think I mentioned it in my video about his concert. Hearing all those songs finally after so many years, and then with Florence, who I literally saw 3 days beforehand. That has to be the best concert I went to, Florence. It was just so anthemic and theatrical. It was just a masterpiece. I left feeling levitated. And whilst I did have a fantastic time, after a few days, I started having this feeling called Haraith. It's like nostalgia for a time you wish you lived through, that you know existed. And Frank, I know you're going to say this is stupid. I've heard you say it before in interviews, but it's like, just that sense of like, I wish I was there 15 years ago in Nambucca and all these other little tiny places you played at, and witnessing there only being like 20 other people there, and you playing the Ballad of Me and My Friends, and just there being a real community feel, and you still being like really unknown, and now all you've got left is YouTube videos of it, which you still get to witness it. That's the great thing about filming stuff. You still get to witness it. But I just couldn't get rid of it, and I knew it was stupid to feel, and I knew Frank said it before. There are always new bands, these small venues dotted all around the place, some of them which I've been to, some a few times. Up and coming and artists who will never be that big, go to them, and you go to those small venues to support them and to see them go through their rise to fame. And that's been happening all the way through history, ever since people started recording music and people started becoming famous for making music. There's always been far more people further down the line who are either on their rise or are never going to get that big, but who still have these small venues to support them. Still, I definitely don't regret seeing Frank. I definitely want to go see him again in a few months if he's going to go around the UK again. I just still feel that bit of emptiness. Like, he's got so much music, he doesn't play a lot of old stuff, and his old albums are my favourites, even though I found them 15 years later. I was 9. I turned 9 the day you released Sleepers for the Week. I was not going to know about him, and I was kind of rationalising my existential crisis by thinking, like, I knew about Kate Nash. Kate Nash was number 2 when I was 9. She was like a small indie artist who suddenly really quickly rose to fame. And yeah, I knew about her because she was on mainstream radio, but that doesn't suddenly turn into, oh, she played at these small places. Oh, let's look into all of it, because you needed a MySpace account, and my parents wouldn't let me get social media or any of that, and I just wasn't old enough to really know about that. It's stupid to think that way. And I've still got about 70 odd years on this planet. I have more than enough time to look into the small underground music scenes. I have as many years to go on to my life. Yeah, I'm still... I had this feeling about Bombay Bicycle Club. I found out about them when they released So Long See You Tomorrow, having no idea that they had like 4 albums before that. No, 3 albums before that. And then finding them and just thinking, I wish I knew about these earlier. It is still pointless. I've just been like laying in bed just thinking, can I just go back in time and experience... Frank even has a song about this on Tape Deck Heart. It's one of the last songs on the album about having a time machine. One of the support acts is a local up-and-coming band. I mean, they're local to Frank. He now lives in a small town near Colchester. They're local to him. So they're not going to be like around the London scene, but they were really good. They were called the Wessex Boys. I'll leave a link to their Spotify down below. They released their first album a couple months ago, and they were brilliant. Just as the Wessex Boys started playing, I thought of this time when I was, this was about 5 years ago, I was at uni, and we got out clubbing, and the club we went to had a massive plastic horse as you walked in, and I tried to climb on the horse, and security told me to get off, and that spurred me into starting to write this song all about how I don't go clubbing anymore. I started writing it in my head as they were playing, and then I eventually got about a third of it down when I got back after the concert finished. Still haven't finished writing it, something I need to sit down and do. And then about 5 songs in, they sang a song sort of in the more or less the same theme as the one I started writing in my head. However, it seemed to come across as if their clubbing days weren't over, or at least getting pissed and regretting it the next morning weren't over. So I'd like to think I'm a step ahead of them there. The song itself, I'll leave their Spotify and whatever below. It was called Save the Queen. Apparently this is a drinking game. It's clearly had dire consequences. They wrote it 2 years before she died anyway. But yeah, apparently it's like you throw a coin in someone's pint and they got to down it. Which, I mean, yeah, fucking hell, you're gonna wake up the next morning and realise you did shit you massively regretted and threw up on people you were terrified to ever see again. So I'm quite happy I never knew about it. So after them, there was another support act. They were called the Lottery Winners. They were okay. They were good. They had a couple good songs. They had one song called Sunshine, which I liked, and they had 2 singers. One it was the slightly chubby guy. he got really annoying, he got on my nerves. But their female member, their only female member, Katie, she has a beautiful voice, and I feel like, Katie, if it doesn't work out, go solo. You'll do really well. I know they're probably like your best friends, but I prefer the Wills with boys. I have opinions. Anyway, after that, Frank came on stage. He came on to Recovery. I quite like how he came on to not a song from FTHC. I give FTHC 5 out of 10. It's not too bad. I was really worried it was going to be crap. And then I discovered all 8 of his albums kind of at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but staggered over a year, as opposed to when they came out and seeing progression. That came out after I found out who he was. It was his first release, me knowing who he was. And so it's an okay record. Anyway, I prefer that he came out to something different. So he got through 26 songs. I have them all listed here. I got a picture of the set list at the end, not a physical one. And with the concert being so close to home for Frank, his mum was there. She still lives in the village he grew up in, that's like a 20-minute drive away. He mentioned it about 4 times, how he was going to go through all the different genres that he's gone through. He was like, we're going to sing some punk music, country music, folk music, indie music, whatever the fuck that is. Let's get it the right way around. Indie music, whatever the fuck that is. Frank turned 2023. He literally said that, and I keep on talking to people and explaining sort of like what music I listen to, and I'm like, oh, I usually listen to quite alternative stuff. I'm like, what does that even mean? What the fuck is it? Indie short for independent. It just means you're not signed to a label. Yet all these like quote unquote indie artists are signed, some of them are pretty big labels. Like Florence got for her first album has been signed to, I think it's Island Records. He only did 1 off of his first album, Sleepers for the Week. That is his least known album. I kind of thought if he was going to choose 1 song on it out of anything, it would have been like The Real Damage, which is a pretty tragic song. Or he did sing The Ballad of Me and My Friends. I thought maybe he would like come out to that one, because that's like, it's a really simple but incredibly sort of like kumbaya all together song. I love that song. He should have sang it. But the one song he did sing off of his first album was Back in the Day, which I imagine most Frank fans don't even really know. It was the first punk rock song I think I've sung of the night, and it was just all about him being a teenager and being at punk rock shows whilst at a boarding school. That's probably one of the most fun songs to dance along to. I don't know, it does make me feel quite nostalgic. Beyond the whole existential crisis thing, it does make me feel quite nostalgic, because I like knew about a lot of these indie bands and stuff when I was a teenager, but didn't go out to concerts and stuff. My weekends were generally already full of things to do, and I lived in a small town far from London. He sang 4 from England Keep My Bones. He sang Wessex Boy, which, let's get the white ray up. I waved this in the crowd too when he sang it, because I'm that dedicated to Wessex and where I grew up, even though I don't live there anymore. But yeah, so I didn't look like an idiot coming with that. I'm a Wessex boy. I'm a Wessex boy. When I'm here, I'm home. My favourite song from the album, I'm Disappeared. He did sing, Peggy sang the blues. drive astray. And probably the most known song from the album, I Still Believe. And then, of course, the album he sang the most was FTHC, which at first listen I thought was a bit crap. Actually, no. I think Non-Servium's crap, and it's Non-Servium and The Gathering. I can't stand either of those songs. Non-Servium, I can't fucking understand a word he's saying. He sang that one, and the whole time I was just there just like, you're just ruining your throat into a microphone. I mean, I get it. If you're like really angry about something, it is really good to just... I sometimes get that angry, but I usually have to wait until the thing is over. Until I can like de-stress. And usually by that point, I want to listen to more sort of Frank's first album, where there's no screamy, shouty, angsty songs, and the closest you get to one is Back in the Day, which is far more positive and enjoyable. And The Gathering is just really cliche. I was at a concert the week all this shit reopened, but I'm still not gonna identify with a song with lyrics that cringe. I just found it cringe. He didn't sing that though. He sang most of my favourite songs from the album. After listening to it, I realised it's not too bad. And seeing it in concert made me think it was even better. And then he ended the show, again, as I said, with the Tape Deck Heart song. It was 4 simple words. But he didn't do the opening bit. He just like went straight into it and then slowed it down right at the end, where he then he told everyone to start ballroom dancing in the mosh pit instead of like going crazy and jumping on top of each other. Just before that, he like came down to the bottom of the stage and then launched himself up above a group of us right at the front. I was like one person away from him. Although we were jammed so tightly I couldn't film it. Nor, that's the sort of thing you'd love to film to relive, but at the same time, it's quite common, but being that close to him, and I mean I got there super early and got to the front at the beginning anyway, and the mosh pit, sailing around in the mosh pit during photosynthesis. I moved to a more central position anyway, but it's still quite rare that you'd be that close, even if you try and plan it. So just being that close, it's so cliche. I know I've been banging on about how cliche some of his lyrics were, and it's so cliche to like be in awe when you're that close to a singer you really like. But it's probably the best part of the concert, being that close to... That's so cringe to say. I'm criticising Frank for being cringe, and I'm being cringe myself. However, I can't deny it was an awesome experience. Yeah, then he got a bunch of people to ballroom dance. He tried to get, I can't remember who from the Sleeping Souls, but one of them to dance with him, and he got rejected. Don't worry, Frank, I feel you. I didn't even ask anyone to dance. I was there by myself. I didn't care to ballroom dance with a stranger. I probably would have trod on their foot. Little Life, the song he redid with Katie Tunstall, he redid in concert with another Katie, but it was the singer from the Lottery Winners, the second support act. Just me and you, just me and you, something a little while.
Take
did sing Wessex Boy, I did email him, and amongst a few other things, specifically requested for him to sing my favourite song of his, Vital Signs, and he replied, so he read the email, yet he didn't sing it. So whilst this did come in handy, I do feel I am owed a concert in my honour of all my favourite songs by Frank Turner from the playlist I will link below, and an album of Sigrid covers.
Everybody loves